You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
The internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get started again.
They say we offer simple answers to complex problems. Well, perhaps there is a simple answer. Not an easy answer, but simple.
It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground.
We have serious problems to solve, and we need serious people to solve them. Republicans and Democrats.
All right, folks. Well, happy Saturday morning. This is Finding Common Ground. I'm Rick Robinson, one half of the crew here. We have a special commercial-free edition of Finding Common Ground, brought to you by the idiots that keep liking to update Skype and keep making my life more and more miserable. I had to hack my own friggin' Skype account to be able to get a second account open today. So, yay. Thank you, you friggin' engineers. Go sharpen a pencil. Do something useful. Grr.
You sound like you're in a good mood today.
I'm a little fired up. I actually haven't had a voice for almost a week, so I'm just now starting to get back into the swing of things. And I got my CPAC credentials. The flights are booked. The room is ready. I'm going to be in Maryland for like 7 or 5 days next week. Woohoo! Oh, sorry.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I'll be running back and forth between our booth, WNJC's booth. Going to pop in over at the Red State booth, shake a few hands, say hi to folks, and it should be fun. I should be running around like a... I'll be busier than a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. Let's just put it like it is.
I want to go to CPAC.
Whatever. You don't want to go to
that's
CPAC.
awesome.
Your head would explode. You'd like walk in the door and be like, I'm done.
Yeah, no. You're right. You are 100% right.
However, when you do turn 18, we need to start sending you to, like, I'm sure they have liberal conventions of some kind. You could be the guy that, like, goes and covers those. And then we can point and laugh.
I think those are called Nazi rallies.
What, liberal rallies are called Nazi rallies?
Yeah, weren't they all like socialists?
I don't know. I mean, at this point, I'm pretty sure the Nazis are aligning with Trump, dude.
So. Yeah. And so's your boy Chris Christie.
Oh, dude, don't even get me started on that guy. He's your damn governor.
Yeah. I didn't vote for him.
Friggin' donut munching, Twinkie gobbling, ding dong guzzling bastard. Ugh. I was mad as hell yesterday, dude. I can't believe after all the times he stood up there on the stage and told everybody Donald Trump can't be president, not suitable for president. Oh, look, he's my guy. We've been friends for years. Him and his wife and I, we hang out, and so did and my wife. I'm like, dude, that was a mental image I don't need because his wife's a porn star, so I know there's probably a foursome going on there somewhere. Ugh.
Jesus Christ. No, I mean, it is just scary because he's becoming more and more establishment as time goes on.
Well, he's doing exactly what he's told everybody he was going to do. He told everybody months ago, as he gets closer and closer to the general, he's going to have to move toward the establishment. What I don't understand is how getting an endorsement by somebody like Chris Christie is not turning off the anti-establishment crowd that were the folks that started the fire for Donald Trump. Because he's now basically becoming an establishment crony, and he's being followed primarily on social media by a bunch of racist Nazis, and I don't understand how he still has so much momentum, especially when, dude, did you look at his Twitter account before he started pulling everything down? The dude had like spelling error after spelling error after spelling error, and I'm not talking like little ones like typos, like a letter flipped around. I'm talking about like the fact that he's now coming to Oklahoma City for the second time and has misspelled the name of the town twice in the information that he put out about going there. Not once, but twice.
It's hard to spell Oklahoma.
Especially when you think it's a tree.
It's not a tree?
No.
Interesting.
So anyway, we haven't done the show in a while because you've been busy running around. I've been busy running around, and then I was sick. So what's been going on with you? I know you had some big deal last week. What was that about?
Yeah, last week was another one of my JSA conventions that we did. It went well. I got to have a booth, a political activism booth where I showed off Opinionation to a lot of people, got some likes out of it, potentially some guests out of it. So everything's been going well on my part.
I was about to ask you if it was a kissing booth, because you're like young teenager, but never mind.
I don't think in our society they would allow that anymore.
Probably not. But then imagine if they did, though, and all of a sudden, you're this normal straight-laced kind of guy, and all of a sudden some guy walks up and hands you $5.
Yep, that would probably happen.
I can just imagine Bryce trying to find a polite way to not have to be like, I support the fact that you like guys. I just, however, don't like them.
But this is a kissing booth. Yeah, see, that would not have happened 50 years ago in a kissing booth. So, And I just saw an article that showed a 23-year-old man has been posing as a high school student and attending high school. I know that's random, but, how is this possible?
Wait, seriously? What, is that from the Enquirer or something, or where's that?
No, this is from Now This, which is I think the Huffington Post. But this guy has been charged with identity theft and tampering with public records, but he was 23 years old, posing as a high school student, going to high school.
See, that reminds me of the nightmare that I have every so often. It'll be like one of the nights when, I ate some cheese before I went to bed or something. I'll have this dream that all of a sudden I'm back in high school again, and I wake up and go, oh, thank God. So I really do not understand how anybody would be 23 years old and be like, I'm going back to high school because I got nothing better to do.
That is really, you have nothing better to do.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, did it say why he did it?
No.
No.
Just for the fucks of it.
Well, that may be more true than you know.
Yeah. Oh, God. Anyway, so what do you think about Rubio?
See, I don't know. I honestly, other than the fact that I'm completely anti-Trump, I haven't made up my mind about anybody else yet. So I don't know. I mean, I do know that I liked Rubio in the last debate. I liked the fact that he was finally fired up. I liked the fact that he was engaging. And I liked the fact that he finally started calling Donald Trump on his BS. It's what Cruz has been doing all along, but Cruz is not a very flamboyant personality. Cruz is a facts guy. Cruz is the guy that will tell you exactly how it is, and he can remember exactly how it is because he can basically recite anything that he's ever heard, which is why if you'll notice in those first couple of debates when he started calling people out about what the moderators were asking as far as questions, he actually did it not only almost verbatim as far as the questions that were asked, he also did it in the order they were asked. So I think in some ways, the fact that he can remember everything that he ever hears makes him seem like he's basically doing a lot of things from rote, and he's not. He's honestly doing them from memory, but I think it makes him sound a little more standoffish than he actually is. So I have to say, I think overall on Thursday night, I think Marco won the debate. I mean, I know the polls, as far as the online polls, say otherwise, but let's face it, whoever wrote Drudge's duplication algorithm was probably a kindergartner focused more on making sure he got to finish his applesauce instead of writing the code. Because I know people that have voted in those polls 100 to 150 times before it finally kicks them out, and it doesn't ever go back and erase their votes. So,
but I like applesauce.
Apparently, so does the Drudge code programmer. So you're not alone. And he also happens to probably be a kindergartner.
Interesting. See, now, like Cruz, the reason I know you like Cruz a little bit, but also remember, when or if Cruz drops out, his supporters are going right to Trump, most of them.
I don't think so anymore. The ones that honestly need to get the hell out right now are Kasich and Carson. It needs to get to the point where it's a three-person race. And I have been telling both the Rubio and the Cruz camps this for a while. They need to consolidate. They need to figure out who's going to have the top of the ticket and who's going to have the bottom of the ticket and come together and just destroy Trump, because otherwise we're screwed. Because, look, I don't care if you like Trump. I don't care if you hate Trump. I have not hidden how I feel about Trump. I will not do that. That's not what I started this for, is to tell you what I think you need to hear. I started all of this to tell you exactly what I think and let you make up your own mind. But what I do know is that somebody like Donald Trump has bodies and skeletons everywhere, and the media knows where every single one of them are, and that's what they're waiting for right now. Thanks to our failure to vet a candidate who is now a stone's throw away from the general, depending on how things go on Tuesday, he's a stone's throw away from the general at this point. The media will tear him apart. They're doing what they do every election cycle. They're picking the least likely candidate, propping them up, making them seem unstoppable, and then when they are declared, they turn all of their attention on destroying them. And everybody keeps talking about it, and I've heard it from Hannity, I've heard it from Michael Savage about how, Hillary's terrified that Trump's going to be the one to get the nomination. I have to tell you this, I don't believe that. I think Hillary is salivating at the fact that Donald Trump is likely to get our nomination, ours being the Republican nomination, because they know where all the bodies are, and they know that the media will turn on him as soon as he is the one that is declared the winner. And there is no way, in my opinion, that he survives the general election. There's no way.
Well, I know Ben Carson should drop out, but Kasich, you really think should drop out? I mean, that's some pretty strong. You got some pretty strong feelings there.
Dude, look, Carson and Kasich don't have a prayer anymore. This thing became all about Trump a long time ago, and at this point, they need to step aside so that whoever... I mean, I don't even care where their voters go at this point. They just need to get out of the race, because as of right now, both of them are basically nothing but a distraction, and Trump wants them in there as long as possible. And here's the thing with Carson. He already knows he's not going to make it. At this point, he's doing exactly what he told everybody he wouldn't do if he was president, which is waste other people's money. All of these people have donated all this money to him, and now he's just in there trying to see what he can do with it, and he's not going to get anywhere. I mean, it's just like I put out on Twitter the other day. Paging Dr. Carson, paging Dr. Ben Carson. Please suspend all campaign activities and report to surgery stat. America needs you there. Okay, thanks, bye. I mean, it really is that simple. He does not need to be trying to run for president anymore. He's not going to get anywhere. It's just really that simple. And Kasich, I'm sorry if you talk to me about Ohio one more time. I will probably punch you in the face, and I don't care that your dad is a postman, or was a postman. Go home. You done good while you had a shot. You don't anymore. Go home. But I'll tell you, Kasich will be the one that will probably stay in it, because Ohio is a very important state, and I have a feeling that at this point, Christie is angling for Attorney General. That's why he's come out and supported Trump. I also think that Kasich is still hoping against hope that he gets the nod as Trump's vice presidential candidate, which is another reason why he's going to stay in the race at least until Ohio. Because he's going to try to, basically what will probably wind up happening is at some point around the time that Ohio starts breaking loose, Kasich's going to come out and try to throw his support behind Trump in hopes that he gets the bottom of the ticket.
Kasich, you think?
Yes.
That's an interesting pick. I was thinking Kasich would more align himself with one of the establishment candidates.
No, I mean, at this point, the thing that you don't understand is I know that a lot of this has changed because there's a lot more money in politics than there used to be, and there's a lot of privately funded political action campaign groups and political action committee groups. But the thing about it is there are still backroom deals that happen in D.C. At this point, if this was 20 years ago, this would have been over. Trump would have already had the nomination because somebody would have worked out some sort of a backroom deal. Those are the kind of things that are still starting to happen behind the scenes with the candidates. And you see that now because Christie, the guy that was vehemently opposed to Trump, is now all of a sudden his best friend, and they've been friends for forever, and they've hung out, and they've done this, and they've done great things together in the community, and then blah, 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 blah. But 2 weeks ago, he was like, Trump's an asshole, should never be president, blah, blah, blah. So the backroom deals have started.
I agree. Now, not really to jump ships here, but I have two topics I wanted to talk about. One, apparently Melissa Harris Perry walked off her show because she was asked to stop talking so much about race.
Did she come back? That's all I want to know. Is she still on?
Nope. She's not coming back on her show. She says she wants her show back and she won't be used as a mammy or I forget what the word was, but she said that she was being used as a mammy. M-A-M-M-Y. Here, wait, I have the transcript of what she said. I will not be used. I'm not a token, a mammy, or a little brown bobblehead. I'm not owned by Lack Griffin or MSNBC. I love our show. I want it back.
Harris Perry, do the world a favor. Go start
Don't
a
come
YouTube.
back.
No, go start a YouTube channel so we can all ignore you. Works for me.
Sounds good to me. I mean, jeez.
I mean, honestly, though, I don't know. That could be bad advice. She might actually get better ratings on a YouTube channel than she did on MSNBC.
Oh, God. No, but everything. Even Star Wars was racist to this woman. Like, it's impossible to get over racism if you have somebody like that just continuously bringing up how everything is racist in our society. Get over it.
You realize at this point you sound kind of conservative, right?
I know. Oh, I had to tell you that. So, at the convention that I go to, it's called JSA. It's a student-run organization. It's all about debate. So after all these debates, some of these kids came up to me, and we shared it with Texas. So the Texas chapter came up, and they said, it's really nice hearing a smart conservative coming from your part of the country. And I was just like, yeah. Uh-huh. And the whole time I'm just thinking, Rick, what have you done to me?
I
was
warned you.
called a smart conservative, Rick. I was called a smart conservative.
I warned you. I told you if you went back and listened to the shows that started when we started together compared to how you talk now, you are shifting, sir. You just don't realize it.
I want out. I can't do this anymore. I want to go back. I want to redo.
Too late. The damage has already been done.
And, I guess to continue my conservative rant here, apparently J.J. Abrams said, gay characters are coming to Star Wars. Quote, it seems insanely narrow-minded to, I can't read, to say that there wouldn't be a homosexual character in that world. Interesting.
Can I just say that disappoints me greatly, and not for the reasons that you might think. It's because it's pandering at this point. Look, I mean, and it's because of people like Melissa Harris Perry that have basically called out Star Wars and said, well, it's racist, and it's this, and it's that. They're finding ways to become all-inclusive. And the problem that I have with things that always want to try to be all-inclusive, eventually you wind up with somebody like Trump. That's what the Republican Party's been trying to figure out ever since Reagan was out of office, is how to change into the party that can be all-inclusive, that can let everybody in, that can make everybody feel at home. And the problem with that is there really is not a way to do that without fundamentally transforming your identity. And that's exactly what's happening with the Republican Party right now. We have one side of the group that is all still uber conservative and everything needs to be exactly the right way. Then we have the folks like me that are somewhat more in the middle that are like, hey, I don't really care what the hell you do in your bedroom. Just stop putting it on every freaking channel. And then we have the folks that are now what I call the neo-libs, which are basically Trump supporters, which is ironic if you think about it, because I was called a neocon in both 2008 and 2012 because I held my nose and pulled the lever for both McCain and Romney in that order. And Romney, it wasn't so much a hold the nose as it was I knew there was probably no way in hell he was going to become president because he's too nice of a guy. But this is the point that I've been trying to get across to everybody else. Romney, when you compare the two, because they're both basically billionaires, when you compare Trump and you compare Romney, Romney was squeaky clean compared to Trump, and the media still eviscerated him. And if you think Trump's going to survive that, then you're deluding yourself.
He abused his dog, and everybody found out within a minute. This guy has Trump cheated on his wife. He had 3 wives. He's gone bankrupt 4 times, and nobody seems to give a shit.
Actually, let me give you a list of, and a big shout out to Rick Trader for actually publishing this on his Facebook page. For those of you who don't know, he's the head honcho over at the Conservative Commando Radio Network, where one of my shows airs every Thursday on WNJC. Top 14 Donald Trump failures: Trump Airlines, Trump University, GoTrump.com, Trump Steaks, Trump Magazine, Trump Vodka. Had 4 bankruptcies. Got to count the hair. 3 marriages, so I'm sure that's probably at this point about 20 failures. Trump Mortgage, Trump the Game, the China connection, Trump casinos, and Middle East policy. And of course, he has policy in quotation marks. So this is the point, folks. He's up there talking about all this money that he's made. Look, his father supposedly loaned him $1 million. Well, what he's not telling everybody is his father's not alive anymore, so at some point he did actually inherit some money as well. And if he took the money that he made off of the first $1 million and the money that he inherited and he put them in savings and left them alone, he would have more money in his pockets right now than he's had from his business dealings. And that should tell you something, because at this point he's actually technically lost more money than he's made. And I understand how business works. Look, I'm not telling you that you don't ever need to try. I'll be the first one to tell you. I ran a business for 12 years. It went under. I'm now building another one while I work a safe day job to pay my bills. I understand how this works. Failures happen when you own businesses. But don't get up in front of the American people and talk about how great your record is when you have all of this that can be proven that, hey, maybe you're not the best guy to stand up and say, hey, all of my deals are huge, they're great, they're wonderful, because that's a lie. Look, if he would have been honest and said, it's business, some deals go good, some deals go bad, but I usually wind up on top. That would have been an okay statement with me, because I understand how business works. But don't tell everybody that every deal you've ever touched has turned to gold when that's not true.
Well, I mean, look, the Zodiac Killer might get elected president, i.e. Ted Cruz. So who you want to have? A guy who's going to make America great again, or the Zodiac Killer? It's your choice.
How are you equating Ted Cruz with the Zodiac Killer?
It's been trending that I think 38% of Floridians think it's possible that Ted Cruz is actually the Zodiac Killer. Look it up. It's like a thing. Like it's been trending.
Oh, whatever. You know what else is trending? The hashtag Never Trump.
What does that mean?
Go to Twitter. There's a hashtag Never Trump. We've been running with it for about 24 hours now. It's got over 250,000 tweets, and it's still trending.
That's awesome. You want to hear? Okay, this is a stupid. I'll admit, I've been watching stupid liberal videos, and they're pretty funny. They're just as funny as those stupid conservative videos. But I think I could make a good one out of this. So Raven Simone, she's on The View. She's young.
Yeah,
you know who that is. She said, quote,
think Cosby Show.
Yeah. She said, quote, "My confession for this election is if any Republican gets nominated, I'm going to move to Canada with my entire family. You fucking idiot. Do you not know how the electoral process works? A Republican must get nominated to be president. Thus, they can run against a Democrat who got nominated." I don't think she realizes what nominated means.
So my only question is, when's she leaving?
Yeah. She said, no, I literally bought my ticket, I swear. But that means she's... Does she mean if someone gets elected? Does she not know what nominated means?
I mean, everybody knows what she meant. She meant if a Republican president gets elected, but that's not what she said. But that's not what... kind of exactly my point. The same thing is going on with the Trump camp, because they're just dumb. I mean, and I don't mean all of them, but there is this underlying current of complete stupidity on both sides of the aisle anymore, and it annoys the crap out of me. Because, I mean, think about this for a second, and this is more geared towards you because you're still there. Do you realize that in 1920s, 1930s, and 1940s in high school, we were still teaching Latin? Now we have to teach remedial math.
We have Latin in my school.
Yeah,
not very good, but
we don't really have it very much of anywhere else. And I'm pretty sure if I asked, you probably don't go to public school.
No, I do.
Oh, well, with some of the stuff you've got going on over there, I honestly kind of figured you didn't go to public school.
Yeah, no, New Jersey public schools are top. We're good. We're good. I read that on Dave's timeline. He posted something about a public school getting banned or something.
No, there's big shakeup over here in Oklahoma because of bad management, no money, and now all of a sudden they're talking about doing all kinds of weird things with public education. It should be entertaining. Yay.
That's interesting. That's always a good fight, getting rid of public schools.
I don't necessarily think they're going to get rid of them altogether. I think what they're trying to do is figure out how to reorganize things. I mean, the biggest thing is, whether you want to blame Republicans or Democrats, there are lots of things that are screwed up in my state. As an example, the state to the south of us, Texas, which is like 3 times our size, has 1/3 fewer school districts. They have like 200 and something. We have like 360. The simple fact of the matter is we have way too much administration in way too many different places. There are government agencies that have complementary services between themselves, so there's like 5 or 6 different places that are all doing the same work instead of just consolidating it to one. And it's one of the things that I've been screaming about for years, if not months, is I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat, we need to start consolidating the government, because both of you in my state talk about how you don't want large government, yet all you keep doing is continuing to add to the government. If you want to be small government, whether you're Democratic or Republican, please do so, and do something about the mess here first. The other thing that is killing my state is we have this insane policy that we charge taxes at the well for the folks that are producing oil. So when the oil production drops, the tax revenue for the state drops. Look, I'm not a tax guy at all, but I told everybody 15 years ago how to fix this, and everybody has said it along with me, and nobody's listening. If you're going to tax a product, then you tax it at the consumer point, not the production point, because the consumer is going to stay steady regardless of supply. So the state will make the same amount of revenue if they say add like an extra 20 cents per gallon instead of taxing it by the dollar, tax it by the gallon, and then all of that money goes back to the state.
But won't a consumption tax ultimately hurt buyers because they will be less inclined to buy because products will become more expensive?
For gasoline? How are they not going to buy?
Oh, I didn't know you meant like on...
Well, yeah, no, I'm talking about like the
plastic goods.
The oil industry specifically. Because in our state, basically what happens is the producers pay a tax that ultimately still gets passed on to the consumers. But when their production drops, their tax revenue drops because they're taxing it by the barrel. So when there's less oil produced, there's less state revenue for taxes, which is what's killing my state right now. And the thing about it is we went through this in the 80s. That's actually the reason why my mom left Oklahoma in the 80s, because she worked in the oil industry. It went bust. We moved. We came back a few years later when things started picking back up again, but I wasn't in Oklahoma for most of my teenage years because I was bouncing between Seattle and Delaware and everywhere else that the drill instructor that my mom decided she was in love with flew us to. So, no harm, no foul either way, I guess. But the simple fact of the matter is, even then, the legislature and the governor here made a promise that if this ever happened again, it wouldn't impact us the way it did in the 80s. And they didn't keep that promise. And at this point, I was young enough, I don't remember if it was Republicans or Democrats back then, but I still hold every single one of them accountable for the fact that since then, every iteration of our state legislature has not kept their promise to make sure that if this ever happened again, we would not be impacted the way we're being impacted right now. And I hold every single one of them responsible regardless of party affiliation, especially when it really is that simple to fix. I'm not saying consumption tax would work everywhere, but I'm saying with something that everybody has to use and it's the majority of the state's income, because it truthfully is, then a tax per gallon works a hell of a lot better than a tax per barrel, because the cost still gets passed on to the consumer, whether you're taxing at the wellhead or taxing at the pump.
How much does oil cost near you?
Well, the overall price of oil average right now, I think, is around $40 a barrel. Gas prices for me right now are about $1.34 a gallon.
$1.34?
Yep.
Yeah, I was about to say, yesterday I drove by 133. I was like, wow.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If you'll notice, there used to be this big price gap between like East Coast, West Coast, and flyover country. There really isn't anymore. Everybody's getting the prices really freaking cheap, and it's because oil, the market has fallen out of oil. And I understand how bad that can be for the economy. But here's the other thing that pisses me off about the economy. Because there was a time when gas prices were low, other prices would follow suit. Food would become cheaper. Goods would become cheaper. Flights would become cheaper because they're not paying as much for fuel. Nobody's doing that anymore. So now not only do we have crappy gas prices killing my economy here, I talk to people every day that have been laid off from the oil industry. Hell, Devon Energy, one of the main owners in the Oklahoma City Thunder, just laid off another 700 some odd people. They're up to like 3,500 layoffs across the oil industry in my state alone right now. 3,500 people that were working 6 months ago don't have jobs. And yet, my government locally here and the government in D.C. is telling everybody how the economy is getting better. Everybody's full of crap, and I'm tired of it. I just want to be told the truth. If we're in a bad place, we need to know it so that we can fix it. Because we can neither tax nor spend our way to prosperity. We have to find a way to do both. We have to find a way to cut the things that need to be cut. We need to rework the tax system to make sure that it's the most revenue neutral for the folks that have their head below water. We need to make sure that the folks at the top are paying enough to make sure that they are to the point where they actually want to get up every day and do work. Because here's the biggest problem that I have with all of it. We take care of the gas industry problem with the taxes that places like North Dakota and Oklahoma and Texas make a lot of their money off of that tax revenue by making it a consumption tax. We do the same thing with the federal income tax. Make it a consumption tax. Because at that point, if you're not working...
What's up, guys?
Hello?
Yeah, sorry about that.
What was that?
I was clicking on an article for you that I was going to talk about, right about what you're talking about, and a video just popped up. I hate when that happens.
Yeah, that's all right. You kind of killed my train of thought, so go ahead and play your article thing now or whatever.
Oh, no, it was just about falling oil prices. I was reading so I could contribute a little bit more to the conversation.
Oh, okay. Well, have you read up enough, or do I need to keep prattling on for a minute?
No, I mean, I've read up. I just wanted to, get a pretty good idea on this. So, what I was going to say, actually, was that, while oil prices are falling and it seems pretty bad for jobs, I don't understand what the frenzy's about, because to me it seems like, for the most part, people are really enjoying this. I mean, if you spend less on oil, that means you can spend more on anything else. But I don't get why I get it's bad for certain industries, like the oil market industries, like those jobs. And I can definitely see how companies, eventually in the long run, yeah, this will probably be bad because U.S. companies will go out of business and Saudi companies will take over. But right now, I don't understand why this is so terrible and detrimental to the economy.
Well, I can tell you several reasons why it is. You have to understand the type of money that can be made in the oil industry. I talked to a guy the other day who was making $5,000 a week, and now he's flipping burgers.
Well, that's terrible.
I mean, but that's the point. And here's the problem with all of it. Look, like I said, there are ways to keep the state afloat while everything else is having an issue. But we also have to get to the point where we have to make a decision. Look, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have other sources of energy. What I am saying is it is about time for all of these folks that have been in the oil industry for as long as they have been to start doing something to actively seek ways to get away from the oil industry instead of fighting it tooth and nail. I mean, look, I know there are other ways to get energy, and I know there are other ways that work. But until we can find a way to make them cost effective to the consumer, they're never going to catch on. And as long as we have these old entrenched ideals that oil is the only way to go, because it's not. We already have compressed natural gas now at this point, which is still, yes, I know, a natural resource, but it's not quite the same thing as oil. We have folks that are starting to drive electric cars now. Biggest issue with those are a lot of times the electricity that everybody touts that's supposed to be so much cleaner is still either manufactured using some sort of a coal plant or usually using some other form of fossil fuel all of its own. So it doesn't.
Yeah, they've been called what do you call it? They've been called coal-powered cars because of that.
But that's my point. Look, with all of and this is the thing that drives me crazy, because this is what used to make capitalism great, and somehow we've lost our way. We used to be the driving engine of the world. We're not anymore. We don't come up with new ideas. We don't make new and better products. We basically just sit around and go, well, if somebody else will have to come up with the idea. I mean, I don't understand that anymore, especially if for you folks that are like entrenched in oil and you make all your money there. Why would you not take some of that money and try to be on the cutting edge to come up with the next big idea so that when we do shift away from oil, because at some point we will, or we'll be using it so little, because that's another thing that's killing the economy. We have made all of these cars that are so gas efficient now that nobody needs as much gas anymore. So now the bottom has fallen out of the oil prices. Nobody's using as much because the cars are so much more efficient because everybody assumed we were running out of it. So now all these industries that have built up around oil and the production of oil and the storage of oil and the processing of oil and the shipping of oil, they're all going under because there's no oil. I mean, you can drive by in the town that I used to live in, and you can see 15, 20, 30 engines that used to be the train engines that were hauling oil barrel tankers across the railroad tracks are all sitting there parked. They're in what's called ready to go mode. They rotate their fluids. They keep them running every once in a while to make sure that they're ready to go, but they're just sitting there and they're not being used anymore. So every industry is being impacted by the fact that oil prices have fallen through the floor. And it's one of the biggest reasons that a lot of us that were opposed to the Iran deal have been looking at this going, this is just going to be one more thing that is going to slow down an already lumbering along economy, because the majority of our money right now comes from either services or the energy sector. And thanks to Obama, there's been another nail placed in the coffin of the energy sector. And it is most heavily felt here because of bad management in my state. And I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat at this point, you own it, so deal with it.
Agreed. I mean, I don't so much disagreement there. But, I was just reading about how China is opening up a mile wide in circumference waste-to-energy plant. And I was always saying that I think those are really going to be in the future. So what it does is it essentially turns garbage, it's an incinerator, it turns garbage into energy. But because it burns it at such a high temperature, and they use certain filters, it comes off as, essentially clean energy. They said that what it does is essentially it's burning it at such a high temperature while pollutants still propose a problem. It's much better for the environment than, a landfill. So the net pollutant is rounds out to be around like natural gas level. Not that bad. And they're building one a mile wide to handle tons and tons of garbage. So, we need to start doing those types of things.
Well, I mean, it's not only that. There are ways here to, like the landfills. Do you realize how much methane is given off in a landfill?
I don't think we should use that methane.
Well, what I'm saying is there are ways to process it and use it for other things. I mean, I'm not necessarily talking about using it to heat your home. But what I'm saying is, if you drive by a landfill in the wintertime and you see this nice pipe running that's burning everything off, that's energy that is being wasted. There are ways to use it. It's not necessarily going to be commonplace use, but there are ways to use it.
This is true. So, climate change.
What climate change? It's called weather.
Called climate change.
Called weather.
Changing weather.
Weather changes every 5 minutes. That's why it's called weather.
But then it becomes climate change. I'm trying.
You're just hanging on really tight with this one because it's one of the last things that you have that is honestly liberal, and you know it.
It's true.
You're like, I'm not letting go of this one, damn it, because then I really will be conservative. No!
You kind of hit the nail on the head there. I actually wanted to tell you. I saw the Daily News or whatever it is, the Daily Post from New York, had a picture of Chris Christie, like his face planted on a Ku Klux Klan like body or whatever, and it said "a man with a Klan" because he's supporting Donald Trump.
Nice. All right. Well, since you've got a guest coming in, we really need to make our way out of here for the day so we can get yours lined up and get your show ready to go. Why don't you take a minute and let folks know what's going on in case they want to hang around and listen to you shift a little more to the left for an hour?
Bitches better be hanging around. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so for Opinion Nation, we're going to have a guy named Peter Jacob come on the show, and he's running for Congress in the 7th District of New Jersey, and he's very young. He's a Bernie supporter. God.
I better find
would be the youngest man elected.
Glad you gave me a heads up. I'm going to, while we're getting things spun up, I'm going to go find my earplugs.
Damn it, Rick. Let's just go out.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for this particular episode of Almost Set America Off the Rails. Can you tell I've been doing that one a lot more lately? All right, this is Finding Common Ground. We'll be back with you next week. Hopefully, we'll actually do the full hour, and I won't have to kill somebody over Skype.
Sounds.
They say we offer simple answers to complex problems. Well, perhaps there is a simple answer. Not an easy answer, but simple.